channel or welcome to it because I know Chyna has her whole swarm of fans coming to this video to hear about the show she just did yesterday where she placed second place at the DC Pro. I
Yeah.
am Sam McDonough, and this is Chyna Melton. She went pro last year, getting second place at NPC Universe, and it was your first season competing, correct?
Yes.
And then she comes out of nowhere getting third place at both of her first pro shows. And then she gets a sixth place a couple weeks ago at Miami. And now here she is, second place yesterday, best front pose in the whole show. Chyna, welcome to the
Yay!
show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. This is a great opportunity. I'm just really happy to meet you, like officially, to have some conversation with you. Again, like I always say, like I appreciate everything you post on YouTube, and I've been following you since you've been doing it for me in Kansas City. Oh no, actually, was it Kansas City or was it
It was
Union City?
Battle of the Bay, I think.
Yes, so Union City, I've been watching you since
Yeah.
then, and
Okay.
I love everything you post. And even outside of my own shows, I watch all the other ones that you do for all of the other shows as well. So thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to have you. Okay, you're right. It was Kansas City, and then Battle of the Bay, I saw you in real life, and I
Yes.
was completely shook. And I was going
Yeah.
crazy in the audience like I was one of your family members. Was your family there? Because I
Yeah.
was with them.
So one of my really good friends from DC, her mom actually showed up to support me, and she was there for at least my like my posing routine, and she was screaming, and she brought a friend with her too. And then I had someone on my team at the time. He had some family there, so I was meeting people in the elevator, and they were screaming for me. So I was
That
just
is so
really grateful to
sweet.
have people to be supportive because I do a lot of these by myself. Like actually all of them. I've done them all by myself. Like this has been something just for me, and I travel alone and I meet up with folks and I meet people along the way. So I'm just really grateful that I meet so many great people like you who support me and just sharing that love and then I can give it back. It just feels so good.
Yeah, you're picking people up all across the country. You're in Kansas City. You're in Union City of all places. And then yeah, now you were just in Miami and stuff.
I
So
know, right?
wow. Yeah, okay, so you've had okay, I have my questions. Let me not get off track. First, okay, let me share my screen and we are going to pull up your
Okay.
pictures from yesterday. So, or
Okay,
maybe I
sweet.
should intro a little bit more. Okay, okay. No, I'm going to pull up pictures. I'm going to do one thing at a time. Okay,
I'm following
so
your lead.
well, we're going to get lost for sure. Okay, share screen. Amazing. Okay, we're going to pull up at this. Okay, well, I guess we'll pull this up. Okay.
Okay,
Can
sweet.
you
Yes, I can
see?
see it.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So we're going to start with, I guess I'm just going to start with my praises, which is like, just look how insane you look. This is like your best peak of all time.
I'm
Your
actually
muscles are
in awe
popping.
of these photos. I'm so happy with these photos, man. I mean,
Yeah.
shout out to Bill because, or is it Jeff? It's actually Jeff. Bill is the head judge, but Jeff did
Yeah.
these photos, and he did the
Jeff
photos
did.
last year too. And I am
Mhm.
obsessed with his photography skills. Like, he did an amazing job. But yeah, I'm really happy with these photos.
Yeah, the photos are gorgeous. You look incredible. And you won the overall at this DC show last year, right? Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
So
okay.
last year,
You,
that was
yeah.
my third show. So I did, actually, no, it was my second show. So I did Miami last year, first show as an amateur. And then
Mhm.
after that, 2 weeks later, I'm doing the same thing again, pretty much, which I'm
Yeah.
grateful for that I have the opportunity to do that.
Mhm.
But last year I did Miami, then I did DC. And so it's the same thing as this lineup this year as a pro. But everything I did last year as an amateur, so far I've been able to do again. So that's cool.
Yeah, that is really cool. And I was trying to pull up your back pose and I'm clearly struggling. But okay,
It's
I'm gonna
okay.
try one more time.
Yeah, go
Okay,
for it.
but at your first show ever, you ended up getting like a fifth or a sixth place, correct?
Yes. So my Miami, I didn't do true novice. I was feeling really overconfident. I mean, that tends to happen. But I was just
Hmm.
like, I'm just gonna just go for novice and I'm gonna skip the true novice division or the category. And I went for novice. I got second in novice and then I got fourth in open. So that
Mhm.
was great. I mean, I did really good compared to a lot of women who were already doing this and they had been competing and, they were new to it, but they were still, they've been in the sport. I had
Yeah.
just kind of jumped into the sport maybe. So the year before last is I was at the gym and Mike Mayer, he's a really good friend of mine. He's IFBB Pro men's physique. And at the time he was training ladies in the gym. And he came up to me and he was just like, I think you would be really great at bodybuilding. And I was like, I have no idea who you are. And I also don't know anything about bodybuilding, so I'm not interested. And I just kept saying I wasn't interested. But eventually I was talked into training with him and some of his lifestyle clients. And I fell in love with the women for one. They were so supportive. They were funny. I enjoyed them so much, and the workouts were really, really intense. And so after a while, I started to realize like there's some things that I wasn't doing in my training on my own that I'd like to incorporate from him. So I joined his team and he got me hooked. Like I saw other women who were really taking this seriously and they were actually competing at the time. I actually went to DC Pro the year before last, before I competed, to watch and to learn about the sport and to just be in the environment and to understand what a show actually means and what it takes to get there. And so I visited the show that year, fell in love with it. I went in and out of trying to prep and, I was hanging out with my friends and traveling and things like that. So I wasn't really taking it seriously until that December, I want to say. I kind of really locked in. Even into the last year, into January to March, I was still kind of iffy. But I went to Brazil with one of my really good friends. Shout out to Jasmine. I love Jasmine so much. We went to
Shout out.
Brazil for a week and she encouraged me and I went ahead and started posing and practicing then. Once I got off the flight in Charlotte to, it's such a full circle moment as I'm talking through it, but I live in Charlotte now. But I got into Charlotte, landed here, and immediately left the airport and went to the posing clinic at Gold's Gym in Lake Norman, which I now am a part of Gold's Gym as a general manager in the same group. So that's, again, full circle moments. But I went to that posing clinic and I learned about all of the pros. They had all these pros there at the time and they were teaching us how to pose. I took my shoes and I was just like, I learned from Maria. Shout out to Maria. I fell in love with her that day and I've been admiring her since then. I really look up to Maria a lot. I love her physique. I love the way that she carries herself. She's a woman of God. She has a really great faith. But she's just so great, like overall as a woman and just as an athlete. Um, but I talked to her. She taught me how to pose. She corrected my form. And then we trained, everybody trained together. So then after that, I think I dove a little deeper into the environment and the industry and the community itself. And then, yeah, I ended up switching gears and moving from Mike's team. And then I went to Ben Quilmarini's team. Shout out to Ben. And I stayed with his team and went to Miami and did all my shows last year with Ben's team. And it was like, I really got locked in. I will say my life changed after I did my first show.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. A lot of things there. I mean, first of all, you're talking about Maria Acosta, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so you learned how to pose from like number seven in the world, so that's really cool. And
I
also,
know.
it's just from what you're saying, it speaks a lot to your character that you're showing up in these places and then you put down roots and are like ingratiating yourself into the community
Yeah.
and making it better. So I love to hear that. That just
Thank
makes me happy.
you.
And yeah, okay, so you did your first shows with your
Hmm.
new coach Ben for the rest of the year. And when you did that, so you were starting to learn about the sport, you were surrounded by the right people, obviously, like you were surrounded by pros who have been doing it for a while. What was it? Okay, I have my notes. So, what were you doing from show to show? Were you like taking judges' feedback? Because if you get fourth place at a show, your first show, and then were you thinking, oh, I have aspirations to nationally qualify and then go to nationals? Or what were you thinking there?
That's a really good question. Honestly, I had no idea what it meant to be nationally qualified. I had a lot of research to do while I was actually doing the sport. So as I'm making my way through, I didn't really know the magnitude and the importance of it until I actually stepped foot on certain stages or met certain individuals who taught me more. So I think I was taking it seriously and I was taking the feedback into consideration, but I think I was still kind of living in the moment to where it was kind of going right over my head. And I was just really just enjoying myself and having fun, which is what I do now. But I think I'm
Yeah.
way more intentional now than I was back then. I will say that having a coach at the time like Ben, who encouraged me and saw something in me at the time, he was encouraging me and telling me like, you have what it takes to do this. Is this something that you want to do? And I'm like, absolutely. Like, I'm a competitor at heart. Like, I'm very competitive, and I've been competing and doing athletics since I was like really small. And so whenever I'm hearing these opportunities, I'm like, okay, is this something that I want to achieve? Okay, yes, I can, and I have what it takes. Do I really want to invest myself? And when I invest myself into something, I put my all. Like, anything I touch, I put everything I have in me into it, regardless of how many things there are. And so when he told me that the next step, well, he actually didn't tell me anything about being nationally qualified. He immediately went, "You're going to go pro." And I was like, "Okay, we can do that. Let's do it. Let's go pro." I had no idea what that actually meant until I
That's what
started
I'm thinking.
competing
Like,
more.
yeah,
Yeah, it took me a little while to realize like what it meant to be pro and how honorable that is. And I'm proud. I'm very proud that I was able to learn it while I was going, because I think it took away from the pressure, and it took away from, what it could be for me, or like some disappointments that could come along the way. But because I had so much faith in myself as well, that I was just like, I'm proud of what I'm doing regardless of what the outcomes look like, but I'm having so much fun. I think that kind of just took all of the weight off of my shoulders. And then it made it a lot easier when I didn't win. I will say, though, when it started to really hit me what I was doing was when I did junior nationals. When I went to junior nationals and I realized second place felt good. And I was
hmm
glad to get my pro card at NPC Universe the next week. But second place kept happening. And then I started to realize, like, okay, I'm happy with this. This is a win, but this isn't the win that I personally prefer. I'd like to take that first place. I don't know how to say it any better. Like, I'm trying my best to be
no,
all
I
like,
think you're saying it
politically
great.
correct. By the way, I used to
I
be
love
in
what you're
politics,
saying.
so I'm actually really good at that.
You used to
But
be in
in
politics.
reality, girl, my whole life was completely different before I did this sport.
Okay, yeah, I have questions there. Sorry, go on. We will
Yeah,
get to
no,
that.
it's
I'm
all
gonna put
good.
in my
I'm
notes
happy to
right now.
share. But I mean, I started to realize like, okay, second place at junior nats, I that was the first time I ever felt any type of defeat. That was the first time I found myself feeling emotions that I don't necessarily feel on a regular basis. I always am happy for anybody around me. I'm always happy for anyone to win. I want everyone to win, even if it means that I'm not winning, I want to uplift other people. And it's a time for me to win. It's a time for someone else to win, and my time will come when it is time. But in
Yeah.
that moment, I found myself sitting and backstage and not really wanting to talk to anyone. And that's not like me usually. And then that's when I think I realized how much this mattered to me. Like that, I was feeling more passion for it than I thought. And the passion started to brew and it got bigger and bigger. So this is how I got here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what's so crazy about your story to me is that, like, you got second place at your national show, and that's how you got your pro card. And then you come out swinging at all these bitches and, like, taking their high top five placings. They're not really, obviously.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm a
yeah, yeah.
pacifist. Um,
Yes.
but yeah, you're just like immediately placing super high. And we haven't seen this kind of thing in a long time. Like,
Yeah,
Daraja Hill or Jordan Brandon are the last people I can think of who were like automatically right out the gate doing super well. But you had only
yeah.
been doing this for 1 year.
Yeah, yeah. I've been compared to those ladies a couple of times, and I go and research them and look them up, and I follow them on social
Mhm.
media, of course. But I do my best to try to stay away from comparing myself to other people in this sport, because we're already being compared and judged anyway. So
Yeah.
everyone's always like, oh, people are always going to judge you and have something to say. Oh, someone's always going to have an opinion. Well, this sport is literally that, and you have to take
Mhm.
those opinions and that feedback and apply it. And so I have to really be discerning when it comes to what kind of feedback I take, and like, where it's coming from. Is it from a good place? And are they comparing me to someone else to uplift me and help me out? Or is it, the opposite? Like, that's why I value your opinions a lot, because you're genuine when you're speaking about these things and you care, but you also show love, and you're supportive. So I take that into consideration. That's the type of energy that I need and want. That's why I apply that feedback. But yeah, I try to stay off social media, especially like
Good
yesterday. I
call.
like spent time off of it, and I was like, there's so much coming in. It gets a bit overwhelming. I'm grateful for it, but it's also like I have to sit with myself and make sure that the things that I'm doing are really for me. I've been through that all last year. I had to like sit with myself, like, okay, let me make sure this is all for me and that I'm going
Yeah.
down the path that I want and not what other people want for me. But yeah, I go off on tangents, by the way. I can talk, girl. I can
Me too.
talk.
I have ADHD and I'm like trying to rein it in. Whenever I talk to someone new, I try to rein it in, aka mask, which is what you're not supposed to do.
Love it.
But I'm
It's
following
okay.
you. Um, and yeah, I like what you're saying there because it's hard to know what's your own opinion if you've already taken in everyone else's feedback before you've had a chance to
Yes.
let it sink in.
Yes. And that's a struggle for me too, is that we help right off stage and then we go immediately into a line to go get feedback from the head judge.
Yeah.
I tend to be the last one in line because I want to take a moment to like decompress. I also
Mhm.
like to go talk to the ladies afterwards and congratulate everybody and hug everybody.
I'm so
But
touchy.
I
I'm like, bring it in.
Yes, I'm like, I got off stage and oh, this at this show, side note, I was like standing to the side and they called my number and like there's a light on the floor and my whole shoe comes off. Like everything that could go wrong went wrong, but I was just like, my head's so in the clouds that I'm just like, okay, I'm brushing it off. But literally my whole shoe came off, had to run back, put my shoe back on while on stage, and then go get in the lineup, which was hilarious. And then I was also told to take off my anklet. Like I wasn't allowed to wear my little anklet this time, which was like, that's my signature piece.
They
Everything was going.
I've heard that at some shows. They'll like tell someone to take out their nose ring. I'm like, do you not understand the nature of a
Yeah,
piercing?
right. That's hard to take out actually.
Yeah,
But
that is hard
yeah,
to take out.
so
Okay, yeah. So when you've done these shows, you improved every single time. So when you were earlier on, were you like, did you even know that you should go get judges' feedback? And did you implement it afterwards? And like, what were you
early
told after
on.
Junior Nationals and then after Universe?
So early on, the feedback part really relied on Ben. Like he knew what he was doing. Ben kind of like fought for me the whole year last year. I didn't really think for myself. And when I say that, I don't mean in a negative way. It was really great to have someone who could lead me in that way. But after a while, I started to be like, in my real life, I'm not like that. Like I am so hyper independent. I do everything on my own. So this taught me how to rely on someone that I can trust. But he would take care of it. And of course, I'd go with him backstage, but he understood what they were looking for. I had
Hmm.
no idea what they were looking for. Like, I had no idea what the criteria was. So I would go online on NPC News Online and look at the requirements, but it still didn't make any sense to me. I felt like we all looked the same at the time. So it was hard to apply the feedback, especially when they're telling you something like you need to downsize your upper body. So that was a lot of my feedback in the beginning was that my upper body needs to be balanced to my lower body. So I understood that and understood that I needed to kind of chill with the upper body workouts. That was my favorite. I love upper body days. But
Your upper body
so
is
I chilled with
gorgeous.
that. Thank you, boo.
Mm.
I chilled out with that. I didn't work out my upper body for like months after that. I just recently started doing like 1 day a week, if that, and it's very light. But at the time, I would listen, but I think I was still kind of like head in the clouds, like on cloud 9, 10, 11, 12. And then by junior nationals, I started really locking in, and my feedback then was more depth to my glutes. I always got glute feedback after that. And now that I'm comparing what I look like today versus back then, oh, I can see a huge difference because I spent a lot of time working in the gym on my glutes. Like
Yeah.
after that feedback, I started realizing, okay, there's certain exercises that I wasn't incorporating. And since I had been working out for so long, I knew that what I saw on social media, again, I stayed off social media as much as I could because at one point in my life, I was comparing myself to these ladies that I see on
Hmm.
Instagram, like the fitfluencers, I guess
Fitfluencer,
they're,
Fitspo.
yeah. So I
Yes.
would like look at those girls with the like booties that are really plump and
Hmm.
smaller legs, and I would take into consideration some of the exercises they were doing. But
Okay.
personally, I wasn't like a huge leg day type of girl. Like I like to run and
Hmm.
I'll do squats here and there and I would challenge myself, but for the most part, I just stayed hyper lean because I was a runner. So I
Yeah.
spent a lot of time I would run on my treadmill. I'd run in my neighborhood first thing in the morning since I was like 13. I would be running miles every morning
Wow.
before school. It was just like physical therapy. Like I wouldn't go to therapy, and so I would just instead do physical therapy. I played sports, I played soccer. So I didn't really care too much about growing my glutes, but I
Hmm.
would say back in 2022, I want to say 2020, 2022, I started doing more glute exercises, so that helped out. my
Okay.
tie-ins and things like that, doing kickbacks. But really wasn't my thing. But this past year, that's all I do. I perfected my form on it, really. Like I spent a lot of time doing glute exercises.
Well, I have just made this comparison. Let me know if you can
hmm
see it.
Okay.
Um, is it on your screen?
No,
Oh God.
it's okay.
Okay, okay. Okay. Maybe it should be now. Yes?
Mm-mm. The other
Oh
time it did
God.
show up before.
Okay, okay, that's a shame. Well, I was just showing a comparison of your glutes. You know what? When we did our little technical screening to see if it worked,
Oh yeah.
I should have tried this. Okay, it's not gonna
Yeah,
work.
that's true.
Anyway,
It's okay.
I'll add it. I'll add it in
Yeah,
post.
add
Okay,
it
okay.
into the little, yeah.
Um, okay, and when I hear that the judges were telling you to downsize your upper body and bring up your lower body, or just downsize your upper body, did your coach at the time ever say like, "Hey, actually, you probably don't need to downsize your upper body. You probably just need to add more glutes, and
No,
that will
he was
balance out your
totally
frame."
like, you need to downsize your upper body. I was
Okay,
pretty big up top. So if you go back to DC Pro last year or DC show last year, oh yeah,
okay,
this looks great. Okay,
okay. I pulled it up.
yes.
I figured it out.
Yeah. Yeah, this looks great.
So yeah,
Huge difference. Like
major.
huge difference.
Yeah, your glutes are way fuller, and this is because you added in kickbacks and hip thrusts and stuff like that.
Yes,
Okay.
I spend a
Wow.
lot more time now. Back then, junior nats around that time, I was only hitting leg day about, or glutes legs about two times to three times a week. And then I would do like ab circuits. I do upper body, I do cardio. And it was split. And I think I was doing like two rest days a week. Now I'm doing maybe one day sometimes, but like kind of just do what I feel depending on what, like I listen to my body now.
Okay.
But yeah, my feedback from this weekend, looking at those two photos side by side, I still need to get tighter in my legs. I've always had that issue though, but I don't know if it's just genetically that I hold more weight in my legs than I do my upper body. My upper body stays super lean, but like
Mhm.
in my adductors, maybe I should do more adductor exercises. Besides the machine, like what else is there to do?
I mean, if you're trying to grow your adductors specifically, is that's what you're asking?
No, I'm not trying to grow them. I'm trying to
Okay.
burn the fat there. Is it
Oh,
just
okay, to
cardio that
burn the
I'd need
fat.
to do?
I mean, yeah, so I'm not a coach, but what I would think based on doing this for however many years is that it's like long term, like pretty much every pro building more muscle in this upper outer
Okay.
glute so that you can get lean enough that everything pretty much matches. Because if you got leaner than this, it might make your, I don't know if you get vascular or anything. It doesn't really look like you get crazy vascular, do you?
My arms, yeah, my
Your
forearms and
arms?
what,
Okay.
like right now, yeah, I do get really
Okay, yeah.
vascular in my forearms, but not my legs so much, no.
Okay, yeah. So long term, I think it's just the same thing for everyone building some more muscle in the upper outer glute, just more projection overall. That way, when you lean out,
Gotcha.
you'll be more even in your conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you get leaner than you are now, like you'll inevitably get leaner in your upper body, I would guess. But like your coach is much better than me, I'm sure. This is just like all
Mm-hmm.
going off hunches. Then your upper
Yeah.
body might then be in that situation where it's like doesn't match from top to bottom in your front pose because you'll be so vascular in your arms and it doesn't match like in your legs and they don't want that amount of vascularity anyway.
Right.
Um,
Right.
but I also wonder if but short term, I wonder if you brought, can you see where my cursor is?
Yes.
Okay, I wonder if you brought your suit bottoms down in the back a little bit and it would
Mm-hmm.
cover up this little area where it almost looks like it doesn't actually come to a point. It's not like a T-back cut or anything. But
Mm-hmm.
if you brought it down a little bit, so you would still get this heart shape that you're getting, but it would give a little more shape to the upper glute. But I'm not sure. That's just something you'd have to play with your
Okay.
suit. And that's
Yeah.
just me
Yeah.
guessing.
That makes sense. Yeah, that's good feedback. I think I'm definitely gonna get, well, this was the leanest I've ever been, and I just
Hmm.
keep getting leaner. And that's
Yeah.
the goal. Honestly, I do want to peak. Like I want to be better than I was before, and that requires me to be a lot a bit
Yeah.
leaner than the last show. So this
Hmm.
show, I would say my stage weight for my first, like my last show as a pro in December, my stage weight was around 119. And then this show, I was 116, 115.
Wow.
And so I think I can get down a little bit more. I do look at some of the other pro girls who've been doing this for a long time, like Ashlyn. She is very open about her photos and her check-ins, and she'll put her weight and things like that. Although she's a bit shorter than me, I think her stage weight before Miami was like somewhere around like 104, which is really
Wow.
low.
Yeah.
I can't get that low, I don't think. I think I'd look crazy.
You would have to lose
But
like 9 pounds.
yeah, that's a lot. But I do see myself for my next show, which I don't really fully know yet, but I do have in
Mhm.
mind that I'd like to do another one soon. I'm just going to take the time to get a little leaner. And depending on what I look like when I feel like it's time to peak and what show's coming up then I'll hop right in. Yeah, I mean, I have
Yeah.
time to sign the contract before that Monday at 3 p.m. So that's
Yes,
kind of what I've been doing.
exactly. Okay, yeah, I love that. Yeah. And if you did get leaner, I guess I was thinking like if you got way leaner, yeah, if you got a little bit leaner, it probably would give you that same, because your peak at the
Hmm.
show just looked so perfect. Like you were like pushing out against your skin like bubble wrap. It was like a
Yeah.
gorgeous peak. So
Thank you.
yeah, if you got like a little bit tighter, then I mean, I definitely think you could win a show this season. So,
Yeah.
okay, let me get to the main point that I was gonna ask before
Okay.
I asked all these other questions, which I totally
Yes.
went in the opposite direction. Okay, what do people want to know? Tell us all about the show day experience yesterday. And
Oh my
it
goodness.
was tight on the scorecards, and I heard that Tara came back fuller at night and they like rejudged at night or something, but like just walk me through yesterday.
Yes. So I hadn't watched the videos, but my mom watched and she was telling me what the commentary was. First of all, I
Okay.
got there really early and I was on time, like way before on time. Like I hung out and I chilled. I don't eat a whole lot, but I will eat like the rice and turkey. I might have a rice cake. I don't do a whole lot of the honey and all those types of things that a lot of the other ladies do, just because, for one, I don't really pump up backstage because I'm pretty lean already and my muscles already. If I pump up too much, I'll just get too big up top and I just really don't do anything. I just kind of like get my mind right and I dance. I dance a lot backstage.
Yes.
And I just listen to music. I practice posing. I try not to move too much because I have a really high metabolism and I will burn
Mhm.
all of whatever I have in my body off before I go on stage. It is much tougher going in the afternoon than it is in the morning. I prefer mornings because my peak looks great first thing in the morning and then I'm filling up. I will take maybe one shot of like tequila or vodka sometimes to just kind of get
Okay.
really dry and just to get my mind right. So that helps sometimes, but not a whole
Okay.
lot. But yeah, I'm just like hanging out backstage and I'm talking to the other girls. I make a pallet on the floor and I lay down, I kick my feet up. I'll pose in the mirror and I'll do some backstage like posing or taking pictures and videos. And then once it's time to go on stage, it gets really intense. I'll be honest, like it feels very intense, and I try my best to like. For one, I know that a lot of these ladies already know each other, but they don't really. Well, they communicate with each other, of course, but it gets so intense that I think it's just like hard to cut through that tension.
Yeah.
But that's like my specialty. So I just kind of go up to people and I tell them how beautiful they are. And I ask them what they're doing, like how long they've been doing this. And then I just hype them up. Like even when I'm on stage, I'm like clapping for people and I'm like shouting them out. I'm standing in line and I'm like, yes, girl. So I'm just
I
having
love
fun.
that.
And also they look amazing. So like, why not?
Hmm.
But yeah, going back to like being on stage and things like that, I kind of already in my head knew that Tara was like last year's winner. So like in my head, I'm like, of course I want to win. So I'm here to
Yeah.
win. So I know that my biggest competition is going to be her. So I'm keeping an eye out, like, of course, of posing and like where we're at in line with the judges, how they're lining us up and things like that. I don't really do the social media stalking and all that stuff either. I just kind of like get surprised when I get there. But
Hmm.
I do go up to everyone. By the end of it, before we went up for finals, I went up to Tara and I like told her, she looked beautiful. It's an honor to be here. It's an honor to be on stage with her. I'm just really grateful. I told her that she looks great, and regardless of the outcome, I'm happy for everybody here. She's super sweet too, and yeah, it just felt really good. I think that kind of cut through some tension too. But on stage, I will say it gets hot. Like there was a lot of like us stepping over each other. I can see people in the crowd telling certain people to like move up. I stepped up at one point because I felt like I was drowning out into the bag. So I stepped up, and then the judges are like, "You guys need to spread out, or you need to back up," which it's like a real like we're showdown. Like it feels good.
Yeah.
Um, But I will say, being the top two, that was my first time being in the two call out, like just those
Yeah.
two in the middle. Yeah, that's intense. That is something.
Yeah.
But honestly, this time around, because my confidence is building the more that I do these things, and because I know that I'm supposed to be here, that I kind of felt like I was on that stage by myself. I didn't feel like she was there at all. Grateful that she was, but I really felt like I'm the winner already, which is probably the mindset that I have for every show anyway. But it just makes me feel better. And that's what I'm there for
Yeah.
anyway. So it is what it is. But by the end of it, my mom did tell me that the commentators were saying that I looked a little softer by nighttime. And I can understand that. It had been a full day. I didn't
Mhm.
leave afterwards. I stayed and I did eat. I had rice and I had turkey. But I just kind of laid there. So I didn't really think anything of it. Like, I did feel a little bit looser. I struggled on the stage. The stage was a little bit like wonky. There was like wet stuff, or it was just like, I don't know, greasy or something. So
Yeah.
I could feel as I'm doing my walk to the back line, I could feel my legs moving a little bit more than they were in the morning. So that was another thing that I heard. And my feedback from the head judge was definitely like my hamstrings and my legs could be tighter. He said that my tie-ins don't connect and that if I were leaner, that they would connect better. And I was totally like, whoa, well, my tie-ins are my favorite part. So I was
Yeah.
definitely like, I think they connect. But he was like, no, if you just get a little leaner, he was like, if they get a
I'm
little
like,
leaner,
excuse me, Judge, that's not how I see it.
literally, I was definitely like, whoa, okay. But I take the feedback and I'm
So,
definitely gonna get leaner.
okay, yes, you'll get leaner. And okay, so I think like it's helpful for people to like hear these things that are going on in between prejudging and finals. So like I wasn't at the show obviously, so I'll take what Sean and Jordan, because they were doing the commentary, I'll take what they said, that you looked a little bit softer at night. And I also hear that you're saying that the judge said that your tie-ins don't quite connect. However, was it at New York Pro or whatever? Maybe it was a show that Amy did that the Tyler said, yeah, it was an Amy show that Tyler said it was good that they like had the indication but didn't totally connect.
Didn't connect. Yes, I remember that.
So, okay, yeah. So tell me, is this and was it Bill who said that? Because he was the head
Yes,
judge.
yes,
Okay, so
Bill.
I would trust Bill because he's an Olympia judge.
Hmm.
Um, so are you when you hear that you looked a little bit softer at night, but also your steps were bigger, so maybe that made you look a little bit softer because it causes more glute folding when your steps are
Yes.
bigger.
Hmm.
Does it make you think, oh, if the show's this late in the day, like fine or prejudges are late in the day for me, it was like noon, or like 3 or something for you.
It's like 3, yeah.
And okay, yeah, in finals or in the evening, does that make you think, oh, maybe I should pump if the show is that late, at least for
Yes.
finals?
I'm learning
Okay.
that now for finals, if it's that late, because we went on at 3 and then we had all of the other ladies go after us. And then we started over around, I want to say 6 or 7. And we stood backstage while they did, Mr. Tony Roberts got an award. I think it's like 20 years anniversary, which I shout out to him. He's amazing for everything he
Is he the
does for the
expediter?
industry. Yes.
Okay, I love him. I was talking about him when I was looking at the videos. Okay, yeah, go on.
Yeah, they honored him, and that took a little while. We're just standing there, and at that moment, I probably should pump up then because I
Okay.
felt a little softer. But I was like, by then, in my head, because based off of what the other parts of the show looked like, we all were under the impression that we were just going out there to line up for finals, and that would be it. Because I think that's how they did everyone else. But for us, we had to
Okay.
go back out, do routines, comparison, and everything, and we were all like, "What's happening?" We had no idea what was happening. So
Yeah.
I thought they had already made their decision in prejudging, and we were just going to go out for finals, and we were going to find out. But by then, it's too late. But I also felt really good and confident because I was happy with the placement anyway. Like I'm really happy
Hmm.
to be lined up right behind an Olympian like that. So it
Yeah.
was what it was. It was going to be what it is.
Totally. Totally. And yeah, the lesson learned is like, I guess it's not over no matter what they say.
Right, exactly. So I know to prepare. At least if finals is that late in the day, I will definitely be pumping up backstage. I'll be doing more things. I never really need to pump up upper body. Bill definitely was like, don't do anything different with your upper body. It's perfect the way that it is. If anything, just get leaner on the bottom. And I was like, okay, great.
Okay.
He said my front pose, top tier. He was like, you nailed it on the front pose. We were just waiting for you to turn around to see the glute comparison. And the only feedback was just that my legs need to be tighter. He was like, you have
Okay.
perfect glutes. Your glutes look great. And that's great to hear considering like all of my feedback last year was glute depth, and that I needed to
Yeah.
work more on my glutes. So that really was affirming that I've been doing the work that I need to see the improvements. And so he was like, yeah, totally keep it the way that it is. If you get leaner, you're a shoe in. And I was like, great.
Oh my God. That's
Yeah,
dream feedback.
I
Aside
know,
from
right?
you win, now here's your feedback. That would be the only thing
Hmm.
that's better.
Yeah, I got pulled to the side
Wow.
so many times by the announcer pulled me to the side and they were just like, we just want to let you know that it was super hard. Like they were going back and forth. I didn't realize that they had us up there for like 13 or 14 minutes. Like we were up there for a while comparing
Yeah.
and the guy pulled me to the side and he was like, it was very, very close. Like he was like, it was so close. It was a very tough decision to make. And I was like, oh, thank you. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. And also, your stage presence is just so incredible. And I think
Thank
that's
you.
like, that's definitely plays into this big time, especially when you're against
Yeah.
someone like Tara who's been to the
Mm,
Olympia before.
yeah.
So, yeah, tell me about the feedback you've gotten about your posing or different things you've changed with your posing, changed with your stage presence when you're on stage in between these shows.
Well, I always ask about the posing because I'm very hypercritical about it because I spend so much time doing it. Like I am in a studio every day or in my
Wow.
house or every morning doing posing. So,
Hmm.
like my phone is literally, I have so much storage of just everyday posing. But they never really have any feedback about my posing. They never tell me that it's off or
Okay.
anything like that. Now I know that I make mistakes and I know that I get a little bit wobbly or anything. But when I hit my front pose or I hit my back pose, they're just like, that's good. Like, you're fine. There's nothing there to work on. So I'm glad about that. But I personally feel like there's always things that I can fix, like the
Yeah.
feedback you helped me with and helping me be more balanced from the front and my back pose. I could lift my chest up a little bit more and stay there. There's things like when my hair touches my shoulders, things like that I really want to work on. The biggest thing for me personally is working on my walk to the back line, just making sure that I'm not like overdoing it or moving too quickly. Sometimes I may move a little too slow, but that's just me trying to make sure that I stay on tempo. I do make requests to the DJ backstage. So when I came out to that one song, I was like, this is the song that I posed to for the past 2 weeks. I've been posing to that same song. So
You
that
can
helped a
do
lot.
that?
I didn't know you could or couldn't. I just do.
Amazing.
Like, yeah, I told him, I was like, hey,
Okay.
I'm going to line up. He was like, how many people do you have before you? And I did that in Miami too. They played Beyonce.
That is so cunty. I'm obsessed with that.
It helps so much. I just need some good music because I post to music all the time. So I think that helps
Yeah.
with my stage presence is that technically I'm dancing.
Yeah,
Technically.
and we know you're great at that. It's all you do leading up to stage. So, what's the song you choose?
This one I chose Cassie, Me and You. I don't know why that one started
Oh,
popping up so much, but I loved it. I loved it. So when I watched all of the videos that everyone sends me from yesterday, I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot that I did it to this song, and that's my
yeah.
song, girl. That's my song.
It's so good. It's sickening. Oh
Yeah.
my God, I love that that's your song. So, give us your tips on the back walk. Clearly, you've thought about it a lot. You're like, sometimes I move too fast. I have to make sure I'm not moving too much. Tell us why you want to make sure you're not moving too much.
Because of that leanness that I need to work on. Because I know that when I take that, I go into my T and I look over my shoulder before I take that next step. I make sure that I'm like lined up. I did this little thing to give myself a nudge, like, okay, you're ready. And then I walk. I'm like talking to myself the whole time I'm on stage. Sometimes when I'm in my back pose and comparisons, I'm like singing the music and just keeping myself calm in that way. But
Yeah.
before I come out of that T and I take that first step with my right foot, because my T is usually left foot is at the horizontal and the T lines up with my right, I make sure that my feet aren't too close together before I take that first step. And I have majority of my weight in my back leg before I take a forward step. And it's
Okay.
always at an angle. I always make sure that my foot is twisted before I take that first step. But from there, like you mentioned, this show I was taking bigger steps, and it's because I was actually catching Charlie horses on stage. I could feel my leg getting a
No.
little like stuck. Mind you, again, I took a shot, and then I also wasn't drinking. I
Yeah.
had like 8 ounces, 8 to 12 ounces of water before going on, so I could have probably had more water. But
If only you could inject it straight into the calf. That's what I
yes,
always think.
but I felt my leg get a bit stiff, but my steps were a bit wider than they usually are. I usually keep my legs closer together because I know that I hold my weight in my adductors. In the middle of my
Okay.
leg is where I think I can work harder to get that body fat down. So if I keep my steps shorter, then my legs won't rub together as much, and I can control how much I'm moving. And my hips, I make sure that I'm using my hips as I'm taking each step. I also want to add in sass. I don't want it to be too stiff. In the beginning, when I first started posing and learning how to pose and spending time on it, I was so stiff. I
Yeah.
don't know if it's just I have a really straight back in my posture. My mom always taught me to work on my posture, sit up straight, walk with your stomach tight, and that's just something my mom implemented. But
Yeah.
I think it's
My
over
mom
time
bullied
and
my sister about her walk for the same reason, and it stuck with me, and
hmm
now I do it out of fear and survival.
yeah, same. So I'm just like, okay, let me keep that in mind, but working on swaying my arms in a natural way or yeah, just like whenever I'm moving, the arm part was always the hardest for me. What do I do with my arms?
Yeah.
Because I can flow them now, but it took me a little while. Also, just making sure they match on both hands because they're separate. So
Yeah.
it's like I want both sides to look the same. It took a lot of
Yeah.
time, but again, like I said, I do it every day. Like I pose every
Yeah.
day.
So is that your secret? Because all of clients who ask the same thing, they're like, how do I find my stage vibe? Like, how do I step into that persona? And I'm always like, well, first thing, let's just figure out what the steps are, and then that will naturally come as you add more practice.
Yes.
But what's been your process with that if you used to be more stiff?
Yeah, I started listening to the music, or I started to just find things that I felt like were me, and then I applied it to those steps. So I did have to learn the steps first and learn how to pose
Mhm.
the correct way, hit the front pose, hit all the like poses that matter. And then from there, I incorporated things that were me. And although my posing doesn't look like all of the other ladies who are Olympia level, that because to me, I was just like, there are certain things that I don't like. Like I don't want to flow my arms a certain way, and I don't
Yeah.
want to flip my hair over my shoulder. That's just not me. I don't even do
Yeah.
that in real life. Like I don't want to make myself do something that I wouldn't do naturally. So I found
Yeah.
things that work for me naturally that still hit the same poses that we're supposed to hit.
Yeah.
Like for example, I'm a fan of that stallion pose. Shout out to Miss Laura Lee. I believe she's the one that invented that. I
Did
think so.
she?
I don't know. That's what I heard. I could be wrong, but either way, she was one of the ones that I saw do it, and I
Okay.
fell in love with her posing in the beginning.
Yeah.
So I used a lot of what she does in her posing to help me figure out what I wanted to add to mine. Same thing with Maureen. She just kind of
Hmm.
like she's just walking, she's just living, and she looks like that. So it's like I
Yeah.
wanted that natural look. So I would record myself and watch it. And then over time, I realized, okay, I look a little stiff here, or I could not move my shoulder down, or not, I did this thing where I was getting tired of doing this and it cut my head off a little
Yeah.
bit, my neck off. So I started working
Yeah.
on those things, but I just record myself and rewatch it all the time.
Okay. Yeah, that's great advice. And yeah, the shrug thing, I absolutely hate that, and I do find myself doing it. I'm like, why am I doing this when I hate it so much?
Yes, I don't know
And
why I do
having,
it.
yeah, and having a long neck is like something I don't hear a lot of people talk about with bodybuilding, but it has a lot to do with your look on stage, and it's just one of the things you can't control. But if your
Mm.
neck is shorter, sorry, not to discourage any of my short necks out there listening. There's still hope. You got this. But
Yeah.
if you have like a short neck and you're really jacked up top, then it just makes you look like
Hmm.
very squat and throws off that flow to
Right.
the physique. So if you're someone who's like doing the shrug and you have a short neck, as Chyna just said, maybe we should drop it.
Right. And I also struggled in the beginning with having my head up too high because I
Yeah.
felt like my neck looked so short. And I know I have a longer neck, like it's like longer, but for whatever reason, in the beginning, I was just so proud and happy. And I remind myself too, like, be proud of yourself while you're on stage.
Yeah.
Show that you're proud. So I keep my chest up high and remind myself we're proud to be here. I motivate myself so much, but I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
proud to be here. And then I look at the photos and it looks proud, but I'm like, my head's up high, my
Yeah.
eyes are closed. So yeah, I've been working on those things too.
I love your long-term neck awareness. You're like, and my head up so my neck will look as long as possible.
It was so long. I was just like head up high, but I've worked on that.
Uh, good. Well, it shows. It's at an appropriate height now.
Thank
You're
you.
not trying to do the is it the millennial selfie? I'm not sure. No shade millennials. I
Oh
love them.
yeah.
um, except for my sister. Just kidding. I love her too.
Oh.
Anyway, she always just catches strays in anything I do. She's
Oh
not even gonna watch
yeah.
this. Anyway, okay, okay. So your neck awareness, it wasn't on my list, but I'm really glad we covered it. And yeah, deriving confidence from yourself. I think that's amazing.
I definitely have to really speak life into myself while doing this
Yeah.
because it's such an individual sport, but you can find community. You can be on a team, you can have a coach. All of those people and those things matter, yes. But like at the end of the day, it's you on stage, it's you and your presentation of what you've been working on. And so if you're not proud of the work you're doing while leading up to that stage day, I was having this conversation with someone I met backstage, and I was just
Hmm.
like, it's all about the journey to get to the destination. And I've been saying that a
Yeah.
lot lately to remind myself, like, yes, the O is the goal, and I definitely want to do it multiple times, but just the process to get there is really where the love and the fun and the value really lies. And so I'm just like, I'm thinking of it in the way of like the show day is just a millisecond of everything that you've been doing and all of the
Yeah.
work that I've been putting in and all of the things that I do in the gym. Like I'm in the gym working out, and in between working out, I'm posing in the mirrors. I'm like, I don't care about the people in the gym. They're like the audience that would be while I'm on the stage, so they can
Yeah.
watch and they hype me up and stuff. But at the end of the day, this is my world, and I want to
Yeah.
be me and be happy and proud of what I'm doing. So, yeah, essentially, I have no choice but to be my biggest fan.
Well, like it shows. You just like completely radiate when you're on stage and everybody
Thank
wants
you.
to stare at you. Like that's why you're always in these first call outs. It's a big reason.
I'm just so happy to be
Um
here.
so okay, tell me, okay, I always gotta go back to my list. Okay, here's my list. So, okay, do you have okay, you kind of just talked about something that taps into this. I was wondering what your biggest challenges in bodybuilding are, because a lot of people talk about myself, self-doubt, imposter syndrome, that kind of thing. But it sounds like you are always proactive against that. So, do you
hmm
have like other challenges you have within the sport, or not really, where
Hmm.
it's kind of flowing?
I have been just flowing, but I have been
Okay.
like trying to be more intentional about the things that I'm flowing with. Um, not feeding into some of the other stuff. I don't really know. Honestly, I really don't have that many challenges, honestly. I'll be honest. Because I don't get
That's
on social
great.
media. I don't really engage in a lot of those things. Like every so often, of course, I'm checking NPC News Online, Instagram. I'm checking bikini news, the pro bikini news, and all those things to see what the shows look like. But for the most part, I'm invested in the sport for me versus like trying to figure out who's leading here and who's the number one leading. And I really couldn't tell you. I know all of the folks now that are like big name and they've been working at this for years and they've really made the sport something huge. Like they've really made a
Mhm.
name for themselves in the sport too. But they also have brought so much attention to it too. So like, yeah, I respect all of them, but yeah, no, I don't really engage. I kind of just focus on what I'm doing and have fun at the same time. But it's really just about challenging myself. If anything, I try to steer away from getting on social media. I do like to post and get engaged there, but like, I don't know. I don't really have any challenges. If anything, outside of having a show weekend, I just got back home from my drive and I immediately went to my club and I just make sure that there's paper towels there for my members and make sure that my packages are in and that my treadmill isn't off. I have to reset it. Like I have a real like separation between the two. Like I make sure that
Yeah.
when I'm doing bodybuilding on the weekends and there's show weekends, I'm locked in, but I actually still work. I'm not even gonna hold you. Like I take work calls and everything. But I know how to balance it. And that just came from like my previous career and like my life before bodybuilding and how I've been able to apply it to what I'm doing now. But yeah, I handle pressure really well. Like I do really well under pressure and I don't mind being put under pressure and I'm very competitive. So it works.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, you have like a fight behind your eyes, telling me that you're like
Yeah.
I handle
Like
pressure
even like I'm
incredibly
thinking of
well.
this and I'm I'm thinking like I'm number my club, we have 14 clubs in my franchise and my club right now is leading number 1 in the whole franchise. And I love that because I just started 3 months ago and my fitness manager, shout out to Gabe because he's amazing and if not for him we wouldn't be number 1. But like us as a team, I get to do the team environment not only in bodybuilding but at work too. And we are competing against other clubs and trying to beat them every month. So that is
Yeah.
a lot of fun. on top of me making my meals and eating a certain way, and they're all super supportive. It's like a balance that I'm so blessed. Like it's been so great. It's just really so great.
That is incredible. Yeah, you seem so passionate about your job. So you're the general manager at your Gold's Gym, and
Hmm.
before this you were in politics. So tell us about that. What is this previous
Yeah.
career and how did you get to this current one?
So I was in federal government for like 7 years. Out of college, I wanted to be a politician. Like I wanted to go into well, I worked in Congress. I was a legislative aide, so I was like writing legislation. I worked for a member of Congress from Louisiana for a while. I was a mentor and I did a lot. I worked like all of federal government, like White House, DHS, and then yeah, I did a lot of politics. And I thought I wanted to be a
Cool.
public servant, which I am still a public servant, but I'm realizing now that that's redefined. It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
politics that defines public servant. I'm a public servant now as a general manager, and I'm serving the public
Yeah.
more on a grassroots level versus top tier, like, making federal legislation. And back then, it was fulfilling to a certain extent. And then I found myself losing myself in the environment in DC. And I kind of lost the passion for what I was doing. And I realized that I had been doing something that other people told me I should do. Like many people told me I should go to law school and be a lawyer. So I pursued that. I got my master's
Yeah.
degree and like I was going to go and go to law school. But I realized I kept doing so many things because other people were telling me they saw something in me. And I would just use that as my fuel and drive to do things. But then I was
Hmm.
like, I don't actually care about this. Like, I don't actually see my work amount to anything. So, as I started to get introduced to bodybuilding, I was already in a transitional period. I became a corporate lobbyist, and that's much different than working for the public. It's more working for
Yeah.
corporations. And I was drowned by the money. Like it was just all money environment, and that's just not me. I could care less about money. Although it
Yeah.
pays the bills, it was just like it was very corrupt, and it just was
Yeah.
corrupting me as a person. And I can only take accountability for me. And when I faced the mirror, I didn't like who I saw.
Yeah.
So bodybuilding changed my life. It showed me that I can take my life by the reins and I can create and see my work amount to something. So then after that, I quit my job. God spoke to me and told me that it was time for me to leave. And I walked
Yeah.
into my job and I left. Soon after that, I started doing wellness coaching. I was actually a fitness manager at a local gym back at home. I ended up leaving DC and moving back home to Rayford, North Carolina. And I worked as a fitness manager for about a month. It didn't really last long because I started to like realize how corrupt that was too. And I saw similarities between the work that I was doing previously and in that environment. And I was like, I don't
Fitness
want
manager
anything to do with
because
this.
you're just
You're
selling
you're
memberships
selling.
or training to people. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
And I wasn't actually training. I was just telling them about something that they should try. They would fall in love with me because I put them through an intense workout. I'd speak life
Hmm.
into them. Like it was a great opportunity to meet real people and to change their life. But then it's also an opportunity to take money and then they go into debt. And so
Yeah.
I was struggling with that, trying to balance that, and I couldn't do it anymore. I just was like, this is hurting my conscience. So I quit. And then I started my own business and I started coaching my own clients. I did health and wellness coaching for a while, like life coaching. I was able to get up to 20 women as clients in like less than 2 weeks. And so I was coaching 20
Amazing.
ladies all at once. I built a community and I taught them everything I knew from bodybuilding, but also in a lifestyle sense. But it was more about changing your nutrition, and what's internal is a reflection of your external, like aligning your mind, body, and spirit. And so we all work together to learn how to eat better, pretty much like find
Yeah.
routines and find balance in your life to where you can prioritize you and still have the same type of lifestyle you have. And so I changed a lot of ladies' lives. Like I helped one lady lose like 30 pounds in like 2 months. It was like, it,
Amazing.
it was changing my life at the same time. And I still do it now. I still have clients now, just not as
Yeah.
many. But bodybuilding also introduced me to the owner of this franchise at Gold. Shout out to Mike. He is like amazing. I love Mike so much.
Shout out,
He
Mike.
took me under his he took me under his wing, and he offered me this opportunity here in Huntersville, and they like helped me move here and got me set up, and now I took over their gym, and here I am.
And now you're the queen of the gym. You're strutting around in heels,
Yes.
just like in
Yes.
all their mirrors. I
Yeah,
love that.
all the time.
Um, that is that is so huge. And yeah, like I imagine if you're in that line of work, like politics in general, but especially being a lobbyist, it just would be you would have to have an equal amount of time that you're spending at your job outside of your job, not sleeping,
Hmm.
so you don't become like morally bankrupt.
Right.
Because when that's all you're taking in all day every day, just like money stuff and like, different deals that
Yeah.
people make that are only beneficial to them, then that would be
Yep.
really hard. So when you wanted to be a politician, what kind of politician did you want to be, and what were like your core values that you were wanting to run on?
So primarily, there were a lot of issues, or well, I wrote quite a few pieces of legislation. Like I helped write the Jobs Act, or rewrote the Jobs Act, which is allowing secondary and post-secondary education to be funded by the Pell Grants, things like that, job opportunities, grants to allow people who don't have access to funds to use this money to build themselves up for some type of skill so they can make a six figures and not have to go to a 4-year university. And that money
I am
doesn't
a
only,
beneficiary of the Pell
yes,
Grant.
yes, exactly. But if they don't
Thank
want to go to a
you.
4-year university, they can go to a 2-year, or they can do a 6 to 9 month program that is paid for by the government that to assist them to set them up so that they can have an opportunity. Those types of things really matter to me. Hair discrimination in the workplace and in schools was a big thing in Louisiana, where a lot of people weren't allowed to get jobs because of how they looked externally, regardless of like skin color and things like that, which did apply. There was this discrimination against hair. And at the time, I actually wear a really big afro. So that really, it stuck with me because in the environment that I was in, I looked different already because of my external. And sometimes you'll get judged, sometimes you wouldn't, but it depends on how your personality is and how you see yourself and perceive yourself to be confidently in reality. But a lot of people don't have that confidence, so they struggle with that. So I wrote that
Yeah, you're
bill, the
like
Crown
forced to
Act.
overcome like a natural characteristic that you have. It's
Exactly.
just
Something
fucked
that
up.
just naturally grows out of your head. You can't change that. And
Yeah.
so I wrote the Crown Act at the federal level, which was already being implemented at the state level. So there were small things here and there that I wanted to work on. I ended up going into, I worked in the Biden-Harris administration at the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency as a political appointee, and I was getting really deep into like tech and cyber AI. I traveled all over to kind of talk about what we're doing with UAS and a whole lot of different things, drones, all those types of things to kind of protect us because technology is taking over clearly.
Yeah.
So those types of things I wanted to run on, but I also just wanted equal opportunity, just period. Like equal opportunity. I wanted everyone to have the same access to the amount of resources there were, but there was a lack of education, and it was really hard to educate folks with all of this like Capitol Hill, DC jargon and bring it down to layman terms. And then when I would speak to someone that's a constituent, I just felt like we were really just sitting there and taking phone calls from constituents versus actually showing up and doing work. Although I wrote these bills, they still had to go through an extensive process to be passed. And then I
Yeah.
never saw it happen. Now, the Crown Act did pass the House and the Senate, but it was never signed by the president. And so at the state level, they could implement it, and that's great. But the federal level sets the tone, and then the states will apply it. But it
Yeah.
was just like such a huge process and lengthy. And then my boss, and the way that Capitol Hill works, it turns over really quickly. If a member gets voted out, there's, all of those problems. There was just so much going on. And then COVID happened and everything changed. So
Yeah.
I think I started to lose the focus and passion in it. And again, I was just told by a lot of people that I should run for Congress, but I have a passion
Yeah.
for people. I just care to hear about people. My major thing is that, like, if I were to run on any type of platform, I would allow the people that I'm working for or going to represent to have a say so in what should be on my platform versus me telling them what I want to lead. Like, that is what
Yeah.
representation is supposed to be. That's democracy. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I'm like, why go out and tell them what I want to lead on if I'm going to represent them? They all know they have a
Yeah.
voice, but they need one person to have a voice for all of them. Why not have everybody sit at the table? Which is hard to do. It is a struggle because everyone's views are different. But I'm really good under pressure. I'm telling you, if there's a lot of people with
I believe
conflicting
it.
views, I can really find a consensus. Like I know I can.
Yeah.
And so that was essentially what I wanted to do. But again, other people were telling me you would be really good at this. And I know I can do great things, all things through Christ. But I was doing it for other people. So I let it
Wow.
go.
I mean, I I let it. I'm obviously like very left leaning. And bodybuilding is not really. So I was already a major fan of yours. I didn't know anything about like your political beliefs. And I'm honestly hesitant to reach out to people to interview because I don't really want to like platform
I feel
anyone who
you.
platform. I don't even have very many followers, but like, yeah, I don't want to platform anyone who is like, wearing American flag bikinis and stuff
I
like
know
that,
what you
you
mean.
know?
I've noticed that too.
Yeah,
Just being in politics for so long, I can kind of tell,
yeah,
discernment. But because of the type of politician that I wanted to be, I wanted to be able to have all types of people sit down and talk, regardless of
yeah,
who's mad or who's super right and super left. I
yeah,
actually didn't want to run on a Democratic platform, even though I'm a
yeah,
Democrat. But that's because we have to label ourselves. And if I had to choose to label myself, I wouldn't, because I just feel
yeah,
like we're people. And at the end of the day, there's like common sense, there's like human rights, there's just like real things as a human that we all deserve. But there are
yeah,
just folks who believe like I worked this hard to do this, or I didn't have this opportunity because of like what I lacked in my life. I'm outside, so there's bugs now.
yeah,
but
yeah. Get your
like
little mosquito lamp.
I know, right? But overall, like I think because of all those conflicting views, I started to lose myself. And bodybuilding
Yeah,
allowed me an opportunity to finally be selfish in a good, positive way, like a positive
yeah,
selfishness. It's a levels to this. And I was never selfish. Like I sacrificed so much and I always showed up for everyone else.
yeah,
But then in the end of the day, at night, I'd sleep well, but I'd sleep not knowing myself and not knowing if
yeah,
I did the things that I did in that day for me or if I just went above and beyond for other people for whatever validation or affirmation or confirmation I'm looking for. It felt good, but then I was also still feeling empty. And I was only like really trying to find ways to fill myself up, but I didn't know how to. Bodybuilding has helped
yeah.
me figure that out.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, no matter who you voted for, everyone deserves equal access to basic human rights, obviously, and
Yes.
more, and luxuries, you know?
Yes.
And that is so wonderful that you were able to like step away and realize that you were doing this for everyone but yourself. Because when you're a go-getter like you are and you do well under pressure, then yeah, like you would be good at every single thing you do. But when you're pushed in one direction, like earlier on, before you've even had a chance to think about what you want for yourself, then it's easy to just kind of go with the flow for a long time.
Yeah.
Um, and then you ended up breaking away. And yeah, you do help people on a grassroots level and changing their lives, like at the ground floor. Like you're in their life. You see them every day and you're
Mm-hmm.
like taking calls for them. Like, yeah, no, you're allowed to eat that. That's safe to eat. Or like,
Mm-hmm.
will this help you get to your goals? How do you feel about the decision? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, that's incredible.
I know it applies to me being a general manager now even more so because
Hmm.
now I'm in the environment where I can physically see these folks making these changes. Like folks are coming in and I'm able to introduce them to a gym for the first time. Like
Yeah.
I will be honest, I had no idea that there are people who had never in their life picked up a weight or even stepped foot into a gym. Like I couldn't even imagine living my life without having some type of physical exercise. I've just never had that, cross my
Yeah.
mind to just never do anything. And I met folks like that and I realized like, wow, people really need someone to see do it in order for them to be introduced to this. And I'm granted the opportunity to introduce them to this. So it's all up to me being that first foot in the door and the first face they see. And I get to greet them, show them like the real hospitality and like teach them. And now they feel
Yeah.
comfortable enough to come up to me and ask me like, hey, how do you do this exercise? Or what can I do to work this part of my body out? At one point, I was a little bit distant. I went through that phase in my life where I didn't want to talk to anybody. And that was before I left DC. And that's when I knew it was time for me to transition because that's not
Yeah.
me. But I went through this phase where I didn't want to talk to anyone. I kept my head down. I put my headphones in, just like didn't want to talk to anyone. But now it's like I'm so open and free, and that's who I genuinely am. But here in this environment, I can finally like share and not feel uncomfortable about it. Again, bodybuilding had a lot to do with that in terms of like how I'm so confident on stage is how I am in life every day. Like I am a greeter. I am happy. I'm not performing like this is not me. No, I'm literally like I'm a show. Like that's just really
Yeah.
who I am. And so
Yeah.
I'm happy with that and I had to accept that that's who I am because I think I've tried for so long to dim my light and to allow other people to shine. And I don't think I'm meant to have a dim light at all. I don't think anyone is, but I wasn't
I agree.
allowing my light to really light up, and I always wanted to be the person in the back of the room, but for whatever reason, I was always brought to the front anyway. And
Yeah.
so now I'm just embracing it.
Yeah, you are the main attraction. Obvi.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. No, totally. Yeah, and um yeah, I totally get that. Like I've always been kind of loud, but I'm like, "Oh, I should probably, like hang back and let other people talk." And then I realized not a lot of people are talking. So
No
like,
one's
what? I'm
saying
just never gonna
anything.
speak again?
Right.
So
Right.
so I
Exactly.
hear
I'll
you.
ask questions and I will,
Yeah.
I'm interested and I actually really care. Like genuinely, I
Yeah.
really want to know because at the end of the day, whatever you tell me right now, in 2 weeks, I'm going to ask you about it and see if everything's okay. And that makes a huge difference because like not only I think I also have a little ADHD too, honestly. I've never been diagnosed, but I'm diagnosing myself right now. But like my members will come in and they'll tell me about things happening in their lives, but for whatever reason, I can remember everything, names, people,
Yeah.
places, kids, all of it. And I'm grateful for that memory because then it shows that I'm paying attention. Like I'm just really
Yeah.
paying attention. And I think I went a long time without paying attention.
Yeah. Yeah. When you're so like consumed by the work you're doing, it's hard to make space for anything else.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's so cool that you are like ushering everyone into the gym and people don't even know how to pick up a weight. Like somebody asked me what a personal trainer is, and like a client asked me
Wow.
how to get up off a bench, and I was like, wow, I've never even thought about this before. You just have
Yeah.
no idea like what people have been exposed to and what they haven't. So it's so wonderful that they have someone as warm as you who like genuinely cares about teaching them, and then next time you see them get off a bench or do a shoulder press or something, you can be like, that was better than last time. They like
Yes,
have somebody who is paying attention to them. That is so cool.
absolutely. Yeah, I'm grateful for that.
Yeah. Wow. Um, okay, I know this is going for a long time. I only have a couple more questions, if that's
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, sounds good. I'm good.
Okay. Okay, so what would you say the learning, and I'm gonna see if anyone asks questions, what would you say has been have been some of the biggest learning curves in your history? 'Cause it's only been like a year that you've been doing this.
Hmm. Biggest learning curves. What does that mean?
Yeah, learning curve. So like for instance, some people they think, oh, it says that bikini prejudging starts at 10 a.m., but they don't realize that like five other divisions go on before them. So it's really starting at like 3 p.m. Or like
Mm,
I used to wear this certain color eyeshadow, like a silver eyeshadow, and then I get on stage and I realize like it totally washes out my face. I can't be doing this. Or like I am posing next to someone on stage and I'm just kind of following what they're doing, and then I realize, oh, they aren't even doing the right thing. So like different things
hmm.
like that.
Okay, for one, I do my own tan and I do my own makeup and I do my own hair. Now, mind you, in
Wow.
college, my side hustle was doing makeup for people. Like I
Nice.
just do my
No
friend's
wonder your makeup
makeup.
looks
I
so
make it.
good.
Thank you. I work on it. And I used to play in makeup. Like I love makeup. I love getting dressed up. My biggest thing too in DC, we had events all the time. There were always events, whether it's big formal balls or galas and things like that. So I dress up all the time. Now,
Okay.
I was dimming my light last year because I didn't know the environment. So I was just doing what I thought everybody else did. But then I
Yeah.
realized that's not me. It's not me at
Hmm.
all. So if you haven't noticed, like my check-ins, even though the check-in only lasts like 5 minutes, I'm gonna get fully dressed because this is a photo
Yeah.
shoot and I'm gonna show up. So now I'm more comfortable being myself. So that's one thing. I save money by doing my own tan. I reach out to these promoter or not promoters, but these companies that are really well known in the industry. And I just let them know, like, hey, I love your products and I'm not afraid to ask for what I need, like a
Yeah.
closed mouth won't get fed. So I will message
Yes.
them in their DMs and I'm like, hey, I would love to be a part of your whatever you have going on, sponsorships. I want to apply. Like I reach out directly and I'm like, is there an application process for this? And like Protan, for example, I reach out to them and I let them know I've been using your product since I started and I love it. And I would love to be supportive and, I do content for you or whatever. Can we work together? And they were like, totally. And they send me stuff and I'll do the content and I'll still purchase things. Of course, I want to support because it's a brand. So I'll
Yeah.
purchase things here and there, but like they'll send me things that I need. And I'm really grateful for organizations and companies that do that with me. But it's again, you got to reach out. Like it's not going to just
Yeah.
happen out of nowhere. Same with all that glitters, all these folks, shout out to all of them. Clinical Labs and Rule One. I reach out to all of them, the ones that are my like my supporters or like support me with my supplements and things like that. I reached out to them directly and asked for those things. So I think that was one thing. I thought you had to wait to get to a certain level in order for you to get to
Yeah.
that point. And in reality, it's like, no, you have to express interest because they're
Yeah.
probably interested too, but they don't know what you have going on. So
Yeah.
that's a big thing for me too. It helps with funding as well. But again, going back to makeup and hair, the first couple of shows I did get them done and I loved it. But there were certain times where I didn't like how I looked. And even though on
Yeah.
stage they looked nice to everybody else, I personally was not happy with some things, you know, and I was just like
Yeah.
feeling self-conscious. And I didn't want to take it off because it was like $250. So I was like,
Yeah.
I'm going to sleep with my head down up like this and I'm going to wear it until the next day.
Wake up for your
So
check-ins already glam.
glam. And so I started doing it myself and just perfecting it. And then like this last show, I will say this DC show was probably my best look because my mom was like on the phone with me and she was helping me do my hair and she taught me a few things with my hair before I left. So shout out to my mom. She's so supportive and so great. She helps with everything.
That is
Um,
so sweet.
but this was my favorite look of all. I took my time and I did take your advice too because my face was a little bit or lighter than it used to be, but that's because my tan was a bit darker this time and I want a darker
Okay.
tan. But
Yeah.
I also noticed in these last shows that when you put the tan on 2 weeks before, and if I don't exfoliate enough, then it gets a little bit muddy or it gets darker in certain places. So I'm learning how to navigate that,
Yeah.
but it's all a learning process. So that's one learning
Totally.
curve. And then the other would be like last year, I will say I was late to shows a lot, not my fault. I blame my coach at the time. Sorry. But I totally was late and they were shouting out for me backstage and I wasn't there yet. And I'd have to hop out of the car, like Miami, my first show ever. Literally have the Uber driver going crazy on the road trying to get there. He gets me there. I hop out, have my shoes into my hand, and I run to the stage. And literally, I'm putting my shoes on, getting glazed, and then I had to go straight on stage. So that's why I did that comparison back then, because my first time ever on stage, I was so nervous and stiff. Compared to finals, I looked a lot more like comfortable because I didn't have
Yeah.
time to warm up. I didn't have time for anything. Same thing happened at NPC Universe. Jumped out of the Uber and ran on stage, and I did great. And again, I do really well
Yeah.
under pressure, but I don't like that, and I don't like rushing. So this show, I was there probably like 2 hours, 2.5 hours early, and I just hung out. I watched some of the show go on for NPC, and then I was able to lay down backstage, go through posing. That's what I prefer. So always show up
Yeah.
early. Um, and then one
And then your
last
shoe fell
one,
off while you were on stage.
shoe fell off. You
When
know,
you were prepared.
yeah, I don't know. Anything that could go wrong that day went wrong, but it also, I don't let those things affect me. And I just
Yeah.
kind of like, I've learned how to work with my mind on those things. Like, darn it, that happened. But I gotta let it go
Mhm.
because I got something that I'm trying to accomplish. And that's just me being
Yeah.
like super militant. I'm a bit militant, just a little bit. I'm sure my
Yeah. It
staff
works
would
for
say the
you. I love
same.
it.
It does. But
They're
I
like,
still just,
yeah, we're number one in all 16 of them.
I love it
I'm sure
though.
they love you,
I'm an
obviously.
overachiever. I am definitely an overachiever, but I'm
I
grateful
love
for
that.
it. And I love to
Yeah.
uplift other people, and I will always tell them when they're doing a great job. I like constructive criticism, and I want to be constructively criticized. Is that a thing? Yeah, I
Yeah.
allow them to give me feedback too, and I'm like, if I'm not doing a good job myself as a leader and as a boss, then you tell me what I need to do better so that we can make
Yeah.
this a better free flowing environment because at the end of the day, we're a team. And that's how I go towards my work. It's like, I don't want you to feel like I'm just the boss and what I say goes. It's like, no, you
Mhm.
have an opportunity to be a boss today too. And you have an opportunity to lead this team too. Everybody is a leader. We're just all leaders following one another. You know what I mean?
That's so sweet. Oh my God, you're the best boss ever. I have to move to Charlotte and get a job there.
Come on over. We need some ladies in there. It's a lot of guys.
That's
It's a lot
that's
of
where my
guys.
job security comes from. They're like dying to have a female trainer.
Yes. We need some ladies.
Um,
We need some balance.
yes. Okay, and I have a one more question, which I
Okay.
again should have asked earlier. But
Okay.
show strategy. Do you like have a strategy with how you pick shows or I mean, you're not really on social media, so it doesn't sound like you're checking to see what shows people say they're doing, but like strategy as far as like, oh, I'll probably need this much time to make the necessary tweaks or what's your process when you pick shows?
Um, that's a good question. Yeah, no, I don't have a
Or like
strategy.
specific judges you want to get in front of?
Yes. Okay, so I have been doing that more often now, is that I want to make sure that I'm getting in front of the same judges so that they know what I look like before and then they can, use that. So I have been in front of Sandy, I've been in front of Bernadette, I've been in front of Bill, and I've been in front of now Becky. Oh, and
Hmm.
Tyler. Actually, I've pretty much been in front of almost all of them, but at this
And
point,
Tyler
they
judges Universe, right?
yeah, he gave me my pro card, which is amazing.
Okay.
He also judged Miami that year too. So I was
Oh,
expecting that this year, but it was Becky, which was great because I ended up, I like to volunteer too. That's my big thing too.
yeah.
I don't want to just be a competitor that just gets on stage and I'm only posting on social media. I actually care about giving back. That was my huge thing in DC. All I did was mentor a lot of young girls and guys too, coming up and trying to find jobs on Capitol Hill. I helped them all find jobs as I could, but I'm a mentor and I want to be mentored as well. So I want to volunteer and I want to go to these different posing clinics. I want to do workshops if I can. That's a huge thing I want to get invested in as I continue to do these shows. I don't want to just be
Mm.
competing just for myself. That's it. You have to give it back. Like that's the only
Yeah,
way to live the right way. That's what I believe. So
I
I met
completely agree.
Becky in Ashburn earlier this year and I did that posing clinic. I actually just went to attend, but I was able to get on stage and help out, which I love.
Cool.
So she saw me pose there and I was in my off season body, but even then she was like, you look great. Like you could hop in whenever, like honestly. And I was like, okay. So that was my first time seeing Becky. Tyler always gives me really great feedback. He was at the Charlotte posing clinic this year that I volunteered at and he gave me feedback then. And around that time, I was just hopping into prep. And then really what I do is that when I decide that I want to start prepping, really, which is whenever, because I eat the same way all year. I'm not even
Yeah,
gonna hold you. Like I don't really eat out. I don't. It's for one, it's affordable for me, and I like
yeah.
am budgeting a lot more. And then two, it's just like I want to make sure not to have such high body fat if I don't have
Yeah.
to. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So I'll see Tyler whenever I'm going to these different events, and I'll go to shows and watch and support ladies at the shows. And when they're done doing all of their feedback after the show is over, I'll get in line and I'll show him my check-in from like the night before.
Me too.
And I'll be like, yeah, like I didn't even compete today. I wanted to make sure everybody got their time, but can you look at my check-in? And he'll give me
That's
feedback.
so sweet.
So,
What is some of the feedback, if you don't mind sharing, that you've gotten from like Tyler, Becky, like these different judges?
so Becky at Miami, she actually they told me in Miami that I really didn't have anything really. Like they were just like I
Okay.
needed to do more shows. And that's something that I've been getting a lot with these shows is that they don't know who I am. And I think that's kind of
Okay.
funny, which makes sense too because there are people who have been doing this for so long, so they do have their eye on certain folks who've been working towards this for a long time. But then when there's someone like me that comes in and they've never seen me before, never heard of me or anything, but then I'm also like showing up and showing out, they're like,
Exactly.
let's see if you stay consistent and let's see like what you
Okay.
do when we do give you feedback in these areas. Are you able to manipulate these areas, these small, they're minor, like they're really
Yeah.
minor things. I mean, the glute depth took me some time. So from NPC Universe, I got my pro card. I put on quite a bit of weight afterwards because I didn't know how to reverse. So I put on
Hmm.
quite a bit of weight. I started hanging out with my friends and I was going out and I just kind of like dropped everything and just went out. By I want to say October, I was like, I want to do my pro debut and I want to lock back in. And then I challenged myself because I felt like it was a fluke. Like at that time, I was kind of
Yes.
doubting myself and I was like, I got my pro card and I did this. Can I do it again? And can I do it better than I did last time? So I hopped back in October and that's when I was like, I didn't turn it off since then.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the feedback. My glutes took a little time in that period where I put on all that weight. I was able to grow then. And then
Yeah.
since then, I was able to downsize on my body fat percentage, and then I was able to maintain since then. I will say around December, after I came from Union City and through January, February, that's kind of the time frame where I quit my job and I was transitioning. I was doing so much cardio. Mentally, I was kind of like going through a lot. And so I was doing a lot of cardio because I'm a runner. And instead of me running and knowing that that was immediately going to get rid of all of my muscle, I was doing a lot of Stairmaster instead. And so it still got
Ah.
rid of my muscle, but it leaned me out and it kind of made my body a lot more balanced at that time.
Okay.
So then I was able to build from there. But okay, back to your question. Sorry, tangents. But Tyler told
Well,
me the
yeah,
same thing.
yeah. Oh, I don't love that they're saying just keep getting on stage so we start to recognize you, because then it kind of becomes not that they're trying to be, but a little classist. Like, who can afford to go to all these
I
shows? So I don't
know.
love to
Well,
hear
as
that,
a pro,
but I
well,
get
here's
it.
one thing. I've traveled the world. Like I've traveled a lot while I
Okay.
was in federal government. So I have friends all over. And so I could
Nice.
kind of like hit people up and I can stay
Love
at their
that.
house. So that's what I did in DC. I do have a home in DC, but I rent my house. So my best friend, she let me stay at her house so I didn't have to pay. And I drove. So that it was just cheap.
Okay.
So like things like
Yeah.
that tend to work out for me, which I'm grateful for. But I've
Mhm.
even with the women that I've met through bodybuilding, they're all over the US and they're always like, let me know if you're in the city, like let me know if I can help you out. And likewise for them, my house is always open. And for you, if you
Yeah,
come to
same
Charlotte,
here.
you
If
have a
you
place
come
to
to
stay.
Sacramento, yeah,
You have a
if you
place
come
to
to
stay.
Sacramento, you can get your tan on my furniture. I'm gonna
Yes.
figure it out.
I always bring my black sheets and everything, so you don't have to worry
Yes.
about that.
Perfect.
You can imagine I pack like everything and boxes and bags and everything. Like I never not
Yes.
have things. But but essentially, yeah, I mean, for the most part, I think that they just want to see me more and they want to see me stay consistent and they do want to see me develop and grow. Of course, I have areas that I can improve because compared to the Olympians, so far I've been doing great. But if I were to go to the Olympia and get on that stage, would I be able to score in top 15, top 10? I don't know. I feel confident about it, but I think when I look at women like Allie or Alice or Ashlyn, Maria, they have a lot of definition that I don't have yet. And so I do get
Mhm.
that. Becky's feedback was that I need some muscle maturity, which I can agree with because I
Mhm.
think there's some development in their lines and their legs that I do not possess right now. And
Mhm.
I don't know personally if I want to. So I think that's something else I have to take into consideration.
That's totally fair. Like I think you're right that a lot of the pros do have that muscle maturity. Like Laura Lee, obviously she's been doing this since 2018. She invented the stallion pose. Just kidding. I think that was
Was that someone else?
I think that actually happened like when bikini started, but I do
Okay.
love that you're like I do love that you're like she
In
invented it.
my
And so
head, she
I'm
invented
adopting that.
it.
Yeah. So anyway, a lot of people had that, but I would say someone like Amy, which checks out because she only started working out like the year before she went pro. Like she
No
was just a
way.
competitive. Yeah, I'll fill you in on the social media. She was a competitive cheerleader before, so she had like some muscle from there, but she didn't pick up weights until she was like the year before 2020, basically, where she competed for the first time. And even into her first Olympia, I think she refused to touch weights over a certain amount. I forget what the amount is, but yeah,
Wow.
so what I'm getting at is like a lot of them have muscle maturity, but Amy is an example whose conditioning looks similar to yours in that she doesn't have the same like muscle maturity yet, but she's really full and bubbly. And like your physique reminds me a lot of Maureen's, who you probably know is my
Mm-hmm.
favorite Miss Bikini Olympia.
Same. I love
Um,
her. And I get that a
me
lot.
too.
Everyone tells me that I'm like a
Yes.
mini Marine, and I'm like, that is
Yeah.
an honor.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, I want to say Mini Maureen, but I'm also like, but she's Chyna. She is her own. But
Period.
like, you do give
Period.
Maureen.
Yes, thank you. I love it, but I'll take both.
So
I'll take both.
yeah, we'll take both. So yeah, maybe muscle maturity if that's something you want. And the longer you have muscle, that's how muscle maturity happens. Or like, different, PDs, like
Yes.
that kind of stuff influences it quicker. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, okay, interesting. I love hearing what your
Hmm.
feedback has been from these people.
Yeah, yeah, I take it into
Okay.
consideration, but I'm just like, let me just keep showing up. I want
Yeah.
to anyway, so let me just keep showing up. I'm really determined to get this Olympia qualification this year. That is my
Yeah.
goal. If it doesn't happen, that's totally fine. I mean, I will still keep going. I have that goal set, and even when I do get it, because it's gonna happen, I
Yeah.
still want to do it again and again. I do want to be Miss Olympia,
Yes.
Miss Bikini Olympia one day. And I would love to do that multiple times. Like I admire these women who have really been passionate and driven to do it over and over again. I mean, there's a time limit on it for me. I do have a time limit because I do want to like do other things in my life with bodybuilding. I don't want it to just disappear and I just stop competing. But when I decide to move on, there's other areas in bodybuilding that you can still give to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it can still be something a part of my life that I think it's always going to be a part of my life, but the competition part will only last for so long because I don't want to deteriorate my body. I want to, preserve. So for
Yeah, for
family,
sure.
things like that. So But yeah,
Yeah,
I'm definitely determined. I'm really grateful to be here too, by the way. This is great. I enjoyed this
me
so
too.
much.
Me too. I'm so happy. I'm like so excited to
Yeah.
have you. And I love those goals. And yeah, like Allie Vathauer was trying for her qualification the year before she finally got it. And it was
Mm-hmm.
her like first full rookie season.
Mm.
And then she ended up getting it super quick. Or then when she did get it, she was in the first call out, which was like 6 people at the
That's
Olympia. And even though she
amazing.
ended at 11th, like, yeah. So
Yeah.
I have high hopes that you will get it this year too. It's just a matter of,
Thank you.
doing the show, showing up, gaining some
Showing up.
notoriety.
Exactly.
And yeah.
Exactly.
Okay,
Well, yeah.
wow. Wow. Well, okay, let me see. I think that was all my questions, but one last question. Is that the same suit you wore to Battle of the Day, or was that a new suit? Because I was obsessed.
So this one I wore my pro debut in Kansas City,
Oh,
but in the
okay.
pictures it looks green in the pictures,
Yeah,
but it's teal. It looks so much better on the stage. But Battle of the
yeah,
Bay, I wore a emerald green suit with
yeah.
I think it was Mandarin Swim. Oh, Miss Sarah, she made that custom for me. I love her. But
Okay.
I wore the red one Miami last year and DC last year, and I was gonna do the red one this year, but I was like, you know what? I think the blue looked better. I think the teal
The
is a
green and
lot
the
better.
blue really stand out on you. And
Hmm.
everyone's wearing red. The green and the blue really pop on
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, everyone
Yeah.
has been wearing red. I was like, I want to switch it up. I would love to get another suit sometime soon, but that's another goal of mine is to be sponsored by another suit company. So
Yes.
putting that out there.
Girl, for real. For real.
Because they are
Um,
not cheap.
no, no. Well, okay, is there anything else you would like to share that we did not cover?
Um, I think we covered a lot. I think I'm just really grateful and I'm happy with the outcome of yesterday. I'm very happy for Tara and all the girls in the first and who
Same.
competed yesterday in general. I think I
Yeah.
had a great time and although it gets intense and although we all want to win and we all want to be at the top, at the end of the day, we all did really, really great and we all look beautiful. I'm so proud of
Yeah.
myself. I think I have to keep reminding myself that too, is that I'm proud regardless. I feel like a winner. I know I'm a winner internally, externally, and bodybuilding in real life, like regardless. This is
Yeah.
all like it's just a reflection of like the things that I've been transforming. I've been through a huge transformation to this point, and I'm just really, really happy and grateful that I've had the success I've had. And I know people say that it fluctuates, it goes up, it goes down, and I'm totally fine with that because at the end of the day, I'm just happy. I'm happy and I'm proud
Yeah.
and I have a lot of joy. And whoever's in front of me, whoever's behind me, I'm always going to uplift everybody. So thank you for having me. And
Of
likewise, I'm going to keep
course.
supporting you too. So if we could ever
Thank
like keep
you.
doing these things or,
Yeah.
whenever you need anything or just to chat, you have my number.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. Okay. And same goes for me. And it's Pride Month, so I've been saying something Pride related at the end of
Yay.
every video. Okay, so if you have anything Pride related you'd like to share, I will list some of my favorite queer artists. Girly, I
Okay.
love her. Girl in Red, and you should watch the show Overcompensating, which is on Amazon Prime. Do you have anything Pride
Okay.
related you'd like to share?
I'm all for Pride. I love Pride Month. It's beautiful. And I love rainbows, period. And I decorated my gym
Perfect.
for Pride Month too. So shout
Oh,
out to
love it. So
that.
you are already doing your part. I love.
Yes, I am.
Okay, great. Well, China, thank you so much for coming on. It
Yes,
was
thank
so great
you.
to meet you.
Nice to meet you
And
too.
yeah, so check out the sponsors that China was talking about. Go follow her gym and engage with the post. Get more people showing up at the
Yes.
gym, especially for Pride. And
Mm-hmm.
just thank you so much. And we will talk soon.
Okay, I'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.